Are the Montreal Canadiens about to mortgage their future for a 34-year-old center? Or is this the chess move that transforms hockey's youngest roster into legitimate playoff contenders? The answer might shock you and is unfolding right now in the corridors of NHL front offices across North America. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because what we're witnessing is nothing short of a high-stakes poker game where the Montreal Canadiens are going all in. Despite recently signing Alexander Texier on November 23rd, the Habs brass has made it crystal clear. They're hunting for center depth, and they're hunting big game. Enter Ryan O'Reilly, three-time All-Star, Stanley Cup champion, and the kind of veteran presence that doesn't just fill a roster spot, he elevates an entire locker room. But here's where the story gets absolutely fascinating. Nashville is drowning. The Predators are floundering in the standings once again, staring down the barrel of a full-scale rebuild, and Barry Trotz knows it. When a team like Nashville starts circling the drain, veterans become currency, and O'Reilly, he's pure gold. TSN's Pierre LeBrun dropped a bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the hockey world. The name that has the most interest is Ryan O'Reilly, which isn't surprising. There are teams that called on him last year as well. The Predators decided to keep him at the time. He's got a year and a half left on his contract at $4.5 million, which is very appealing to teams looking for a center who's a Stanley Cup champion. Now, let's talk brass tacks, because this is where general managers earn their paychecks or get shown the door. LeBrun didn't just stop at confirming Montreal's interest. He revealed the asking price, and folks, it's steep. We're talking first-round pick plus an A-level prospect just to start the conversation. Think about that for a moment. Nashville isn't negotiating. They're setting the bar at the penthouse level and daring teams to reach it. For a player who'll be 35 before the playoffs even begin, that's an astronomical ask. But here's the counter-argument that keeps Kent Hughes up at night. O'Reilly isn't just producing. He's dominating in specific areas that Montreal desperately needs. 13 points in 22 games? That's solid, but not spectacular. However, dig deeper into the analytics and you'll find a real treasure, a 57.3% face-off winning percentage. In today's NHL, where possession is everything and games are won and lost on special teams, that number is absolutely elite. The Canadiens currently rank as the youngest team in the entire league. Average age barely old enough to rent a car, and they're learning painful lessons about playoff hockey on the fly. Here's where this narrative takes a dramatic turn, and why Montreal might actually pull this off when other teams can't. According to Puckpedia, the Canadiens are sitting on approximately $3.5 million in cap space. O'Reilly's cap hit? Just $4.5 million. That's $1 million gap that can be bridged with creative accounting, retained salary, LTIR maneuvering, or even a third-party retention scenario. But the real ace up Montreal's sleeve? Their prospect pool is absolutely loaded. ESPN ranked the Habs system 5th overall out of all 32 NHL teams in their November 6 rankings. We're talking about blue-chip prospects like Jacob Fowler, the goaltending phenom who's rewriting record books at Boston College, David Reinbacher, the Austrian defenseman with top-pairing upside, Michael Hage, the offensive dynamo who could be a future #1 center himself, and Alexander Zarovsky, the Russian sniper with a release that could shatter glass. Nashville wants an A-level prospect. Montreal can offer them a buffet of options without even touching their core young roster players. This is the advantage of patient rebuilding meeting opportunistic aggression. Let's address the elephant in the room, Montreal's recent slide. After a scorching start that had hockey pundits reconsidering their preseason predictions, the Canadiens have hit a wall. 3 wins in their last 10 games as of November 26th. That's not a slump, that's a free fall. They've tumbled to 5th in the Atlantic Division, watching playoff positioning slip through their fingers like sand. This is precisely why the O'Reilly discussion isn't just interesting, it's urgent. The March 6th trade deadline is circled in red on Kent Hughes' calendar, but waiting that long could mean the difference between a playoff push and another lottery pick. Every game matters, every point is precious, and right now, Montreal is bleeding opportunities. Let's play devil's advocate for a moment, because this isn't a slam dunk decision. Trading a first-round pick and a top prospect for a 34-year-old center with 18 months of term remaining is inherently risky. What if O'Reilly gets injured? What if the chemistry doesn't click? What if that prospect you traded becomes the next Elias Pettersson, while O'Reilly retires after next season? These are legitimate concerns that should keep management awake at night. But here's the counterpoint. The Montreal Canadiens aren't rebuilding anymore. They're retooling on the fly. Nick Suzuki is 24 and entering his prime. Cole Caulfield is scoring at an elite pace. Juraj Slafkovsky is finally showing why he was drafted first overall. The window isn't just opening. It's already cracked, and championship windows in the NHL don't stay open long. O'Reilly brings something you cannot draft, cannot develop, and cannot simulate. Championship pedigree. He's won the Stanley Cup. He's been the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. He's played meaningful hockey in June when the pressure is suffocating and the margins are razor thin. That experience is invaluable for a young team that's never been there before. From Barry Trotz's perspective, this is asset management 101. The Predators are going nowhere fast this season, and holding on to veterans while the ship sinks is organizational malpractice. O'Reilly's value will never be higher than right now. He's healthy, he's producing, and he's on a team-friendly contract. By demanding a first-round pick and an A-level prospect, Nashville is setting a market price that reflects O'Reilly's true value to a contender. They're not desperate to move him, which actually strengthens their negotiating position. If Montreal won't meet the price, someone else will. The Tampa Bay Lightnings, the Colorado Avalanches, the Carolina Hurricanes of the world. They're all one injury away from needing exactly what O'Reilly provides. This is why LeBron's reporting is so significant. By publicly stating the asking price, Nashville is essentially conducting an auction. They're telling every GM in the league, this is what it costs. Who wants it badly enough? Here's where speculation meets strategy. The trade deadline is March 6th, but smart teams don't wait until the last minute. The earlier you acquire a player, the more time they have to integrate into your system, build chemistry with line mates, and understand the coach's expectations. Montreal's schedule over the next month will likely dictate the urgency of any move. If they continue struggling and fall further out of playoff position, Hughes might accelerate his timeline. Conversely, if they stabilize and start climbing back up the standings, he can afford to be patient, wait for Nashville's price to potentially drop, or explore other options. But make no mistake, this isn't a maybe situation anymore. This is a when and for how much negotiation. The interest is real, the fit makes sense, and both teams have motivations to get something done. Let's talk about something that doesn't show up on stat sheets but matters enormously: leadership. The Canadiens' locker room is filled with talented kids who are still learning how to be professionals. They're learning how to handle adversity, how to prepare for big games, how to maintain consistency over an 82-game grind. Ryan O'Reilly is a masterclass in all of those areas. He's a guy who shows up first and leaves last. He's a player who takes the young center under his wing and teaches him the nuances of defensive zone coverage. He's the veteran who knows exactly what to say when the team is pressing the panic button after 3 straight losses. This intangible value is impossible to quantify, but absolutely critical for a young team trying to take the next step. It's the difference between a talented roster that underachieves and a cohesive unit that exceeds expectations. Now, let's consider the possibility that Montreal doesn't land O'Reilly. What then? The Canadiens would likely pivot to secondary targets. Perhaps someone like Laine Monahan, ironically, a former Hab, Elias Lindholm if Calgary becomes sellers, or even a rental option like Adam Enrique. But here's the thing. None of those alternatives bring what O'Reilly brings. They might be cheaper, they might be younger, but they don't have a complete package of skill, experience, and championship DNA. This is why Montreal is reportedly willing to have serious conversations about that steep asking price. The other scenario? Nashville holds onto O'Reilly, makes a late-season push, and the whole situation gets punted to next year's deadline. But given where the Predators sit in the standings and the direction of their franchise, that seems increasingly unlikely. So where does this leave us? The Montreal Canadiens are at a crossroads. They can continue developing their young core, stay patient, and hope internal growth solves their center depth issues. Or they can be aggressive, pay the premium price, and accelerate their competitive timeline by adding a proven winner who addresses immediate needs. My read on the situation? It's going to happen. The fit is too perfect. The need is too obvious, and the opportunity is too rare. Yes, the price is high. Yes, there are risks. But championship teams take calculated risks, and this is exactly the type of move that separates pretenders from contenders. Kent Hughes has built one of the best prospect pools in hockey specifically for moments like this, when you can leverage future assets for present-day impact. If he believes this team can make noise in the playoffs with O'Reilly anchoring the second line, winning crucial faceoffs, and mentoring the next generation, then that first-round pick and A-level prospect become investments rather than expenses. The next few weeks will be absolutely critical. Watch Nashville's record, monitor Montreal's playoff positioning, and pay attention to which other teams enter the O'Reilly sweepstakes. This is high-stakes hockey management at its finest, and we're all witnesses to how it unfolds. This story is far from over, folks. We're just getting started on what could be the defining move of Montreal's season. What do you think? Is Ryan O'Reilly worth a first-round pick and a top prospect? Should the Canadiens go all in or stay patient? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the hottest trade rumors in hockey, smash that like button and make sure you subscribe, because we'll be tracking every development in this saga as it happens. The clock is ticking. The stakes are enormous, and the Montreal Canadiens are making moves. Stay tuned,